जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन ब्रज जन रंजन जमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल जय श्री राधा माधव भगवान की जय जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह भगवान की जय गौर निताय की जय षट गोस्वामी की जय जय जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय पतित पावन श्रीपाद महाराज की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी. Welcome everyone. Today we are going to study two shlokas from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 18, verses 72 and 73. So let us start with verse number 72. Krito me saptadha garbha आसन सप्त कुमारकः ते अपि चैकैकशो वृक्णः सप्तधा नापि ममृदे. Translation and just translation by His Divine Grace Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. First, I cut the child in the womb into 7 pieces, which became 7 children. Then I cut each of the children into 7 pieces again. By the grace of the Supreme Lord, however, none of them died. Naapi mamrire. No one died. Next. Tatastat param ashcharyam vikshya vyavasitam maya Mahapurusha Pujaya Siddhikapi Anusangini Translation. My dear mother, when I saw that all 49 sons were alive, I was certainly struck with wonder. I decided that this was a secondary result of your having regularly executed devotional service in worship of Lord Vishnu. Purport: for one who engages in worshipping Lord Vishnu, nothing is very wonderful. This is a fact. In Bhagavad Gita 1878, it is said, Yatra Yogeshwaraha Krishno, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shririr Vijaya Bhutir, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Yogeshwara is the supreme personality of Godhead, the master of all mystic yoga, who can do anything and everything he likes. This is the omnipotence of the Supreme Lord. For one who pleases the Supreme Lord, no achievement is wonderful. Everything is possible for him. Beautiful. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिस्वरूपदामोदर स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमः सद्भक्तमनयः मणिपुरुद्भवाय च प्रभुपादलसद्वाणी प्रचारनिरताय ते। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. First of all, I like to bow my head to all the Vaishnavas, especially Maharaji, then the rest of the audience, and then I will request them all to bless me. Please bless me. So let us start understanding this purport. So wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and where there is Arjuna, the supreme archer. So both are required. Krishna is giving his blessings and all the help, but if the person is not willing, or the person is not a good recipient, or is not a willful recipient, then that is not going to be, you know, possible. So one has to be a good recipient, which means one has to be sincere recipient. सकल पदारथ है जग माही, कर्म ही नर पावत कछु नाही. Sakal, everything, padarat, everything, sakal padarat means everything. Hai jagmahi, everything is here in this word only. In this universe, everything is here. Whatever you want, you will get it here only. You don't have to go anywhere. Even bhakti also can be had here only. But karmhi nar, kamchor admi, पावत कछुनाई, he gets nothing. जो कामचोर होता है means lazy person or indolent person, or one who does not want to do hard work, or one who does not want to break his comfort zone, he gets nothing. What does he get? He gets only momentary comfort, and later on he gets lots and lots of disrespect, infamy, misfamy, and extreme regret and extreme discomfort. So one who does not sacrifice his comfort zone, later on he will be in a great discomfort zone and he gets nothing. So mercy of Krishna is there in the form of Guru Maharaji. But one who does not execute the instructions of his spiritual master, number one, either because he's by nature kamchor, or number two, or maybe he is so much involved in do's and don'ts. He thinks that only is Guru Seva. Then both of them are deprived of the real benefit. So therefore, number one, we have to shed off, we have to give up, first of all, uh, this kamchori, comfort zone. And number two, we also have to give up our being too much attached to do's and don'ts, because that also is a extension of kamchori, indolence. Then when we give up all these things and when we immerse ourselves in the ocean of Guru Seva, then nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. Why is everything possible? Because Bhakti Devi, she is supremely independent and supremely powerful. Bhakti Devi is supremely independent and supremely powerful. And all other these deities, namely Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, they all are servants of Bhakti Devi. Bhakti Devi is the queen. Yes. So they all are servants of Bhakti Devi. And they are simply ready to obey her at any time. So a devotee has got everything. Or one way to understand is that Bhagwan, he gives his devotees the highest pleasure. So for this, to understand this, this shloka is spoken. Give me a second. Is this visible? 5:19:27.
Yes, Prabhu.
Satyam dishati arthitam arthito nidam naivarthado yat punararthita yataha swayam vidhatte bhajata manichhata ichha pidhanam nijpad pallavam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead fulfills the material desires of a devotee who approaches him with such motives. But he does not bestow benedictions upon the devotee that will cause him to demand more benedictions again. However, the Lord willingly gives the devotee shelter at his own lotus feet, even though such a person does not aspire for it, and that shelter satisfies all his desires. That is the Supreme Personality's special mercy. So if a person approaches Lord not for bhakti, but for something else, bhukti, siddhi, or even mukti, which means he's a sakam bhakt. He's a bhakt though, but sakam bhakt, not nishkam bhakt. So for such a devotee also, there is no loss, in fact, there is gain. So what does Sri Hari, what is a formula that Sri Hari adopts? He uh, either may give him or may not give him, but in any case, if he gives him everything whatever he likes, he gives him in such a fashion so that he does not demand it again. But that is not possible because जीव की जो ये है जीव का greed, that is infinite. Even the whole material world is like a teeny pebble in front of this in this ocean of greed. So to how to understand, to Bhagwan gives his own Nij Pad Pallavam, his own lotus feet. When Bhagwan gives his own lotus feet to Sakam Bhakt, then in that lotus feet, tasting the lotus feet, the happiness that that Sakam Bhakt now receives, it excels this Naganya, negligent, negligible material happiness which he had earlier been aspiring for. And so he spits. With great regret, he spits on those material aspirations whichever he was having, and he blames himself. And the example is Dhruv Maharaj. He came for what? But he got what? He came for he came for material aspiration, but Krishna not only gave him more than that, but he actually gave him his own Pada Pallavam, his own lotus feet. That is the policy Krishna adopts. Unlike the demigods may, it is said that by Tulsidas ji is saying, we in North India, we are very fond of Ramcharitmanas. Here, Tulsidas ji is saying that if you offer one big bale, bale fruit is very big, bale fruit to demigods, then they will give you in return only one small mustard seed. So for such a mustard seed, we do so much slogging, and that mustard seed also is temporary. On the contrary, if you offer a small tulsi patra with devotion and sincerity to Lord Hari gives you what you had not been even dreaming for materially, and that thing which you were not even aspiring for, Nij Pada Pallavam, that also he gives. Why? Because Lord Hari, the policy is something like like a baby who is fond of eating mud, and the mother or father, he gives that baby candy. So when the baby tastes the candy, then his habit of eating mud in this way is, relinquished. So Nijapada Palam, the lotus feet are like candy, right? Nectar from lotus feet. It absolves the heart of a conditioned living entity from any material aspirations. So with any motive. So Diti was also having a motive. Tamsik Bhakti. Rajasic, Sattvic and Tamsik Bhakti, they all are Sakam Bhakti. So in Tamsik Bhakti, one wants to harm someone. So the desire is Tamsik, but Bhakti, being supremely independent and supremely pure, is untouched, remains untouched by the desire, by the motive. Bhakti itself does not become tamsic. Bhakti is supremely independent and supremely pleasant, pleasing, blissful. So therefore, what happens in the process when someone is performing this kind of bhakti, when sincerely though, then bhakti gives many secondary results, fringe benefits, right? Like in a company, if someone is working for a company, so the company has got many do's and don'ts, but the real do is somehow you have to deliver on time. Before time, it's like an icing on the cake. So if someone is delivering everything before time, on time, with faultless code, then the company will not mind his violating certain don'ts. For example, um, I remember when there was a flood in Mumbai many years back, there was a flood, uh, I think in 2007 or so. So I was working in TCS, and this thing is there in these companies that one has to come in formal dresses, right, On Friday, he can wear casual dress. So these are don'ts and do's. But this is not the real thing for which we are being paid for, we were being paid for. So what happened during that flood? One boy came all the way in shorts because his pants and everything, they were blown away and they were wet. And there was an important delivery deadline. So he came all the way, braving um, all the flood water. I still remember. And he came braving all the thing and he delivered the code and he was appreciated and by everyone. So if one is performing the bhakti kriya, right, even if there is a violation of do's and don'ts, bhakti does not consider it. Because do's and don'ts actually is not bhakti. Mata Diti, she forgot to do the achman. She forgot to wash her feet. Padachman. So, but who told us that this is bhakti? Who told us that washing our lotus feet when we go to sleep is bhakti? These are do's and don'ts. These are like ancillaries to facilitate our mood. So so when one performs this bhakti, even though he may or he may not be performing do's and don'ts, or even if the motive is tamas, tamasic, that is also not a problem because bhakti being completely untouched, unaffected by the motive, bhakti rewards many beautiful secondary benefits. But what is the primary benefit? First of all, we have to understand. Anushangiki means secondary benefit, fringe benefit. But what is the prathmik, mukhya benefit? What is the mukhya benefit of bhakti? Bhakti itself is the mukhya benefit, is a prathmik benefit of bhakti. When one performs bhakti, then his bhakti evolves and evolves and there is no end. That is the real benefit of bhakti. And secondary benefit में सबसे पहले the heart will be purified. Actually, that is also one kind of primary benefit only because bhakti means purifies the heart. Heart is purified, so the natural envy we have for Krishna, that is shunned, that is eradicated from our heart. And it is this envy only which is manifested against other living entities, which Mata Diti was having for Indra. So that also is relinquished, that also is washed away. So this is the number one benefit. The heart becomes pure. Actually, Dhruv Maharaj was also having this kind of envy. When he retired to forest, he was having this competitive mood. And so, but in the due course of time, that competition was washed away. But when he was returning to his home, he was thinking all the way that because of my duality, because of duality, I was desiring bad for my own brother, Uttam. Uttam, right? Yes, Uttam. Uttam, yes, Uttam or Uttar. I was considering him as my enemy. So when one becomes Bhakt, then Bhakti, it eradicates the envy to Supreme Lord. And that envy on the Supreme Lord, actually we are envious of Supreme Lord. That envy to Supreme Lord is reflected in our heart in the form of envy which we bear towards or against all living entities. That also is washed away. Then second anusangik result will be that bhukti or mukti, they are all queued up. And one by one they start, you know, they start being with us, Mukti and Mukti. These are all secondary results. So Indra was very wonder-struck. Indra was very wonder-struck. Paramashcharyam. Paramashcharyam because then he could actually, that very moment, he could see by this incident the wonderful qualities of bhakti. The bhakti is all pervading, bhakti is all attractive, bhakti is life giving, bhakti is super excellent, bhakti is supremely independent, and bhakti is self manifesting. He observed with that simple incident, he observed these six qualities, super excellent power of bhakti. So, Paramashcharyam. So, he was wonderstruck. What is the meaning of life giving? Life giving means, bhakti's life giving means, if the element of bhakti is not there, then the pursuit of gyan and karma also they will fail. Gyan and karma also they will fail. Everything has to take shelter of bhakti. So even though bhakti may not be the prime motive in those cases, but still they have to depend on little trace of bhakti, because bhakti only is the life giver. Pretty much like how the life air, if that is not there, the body is of no use. ऑक्सीजन ऑक्सीजन का इम्पोर्टेंस अभी हम लोग समझ रहे हैं. ब्रीदिंग विच लुक्स सो नॉर्मल टू अस, but now we are understanding that how it is so very important. If oxygen is not there, life air is not there, our body will collapse. So if element of bhakti is not there, this gyan and karma and the pursuits of gyan and karma, they will they will be like dead bodies. They will not be very helpful, be of any help. Supremely independent, we have understood that bhakti does not depend on any gyan, karma, do's and don'ts. And bhakti does not even depend on Krishna. Then who does bhakti depend on? Why does bhakti not depend on Krishna's mercy? Because it is said that Krishna's mercy is partial, is impartial rather. So it means everyone should be bhakta. That is what the argument given by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakurji in Madhuri Kadambini. He says that if Krishna's mercy is impartial, right? It is on everyone. Then everyone should be devotee. Why only few are devotee? So then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakurji is zeroing to this wonderful terminus that actually bhakti depends on mercy from devotees. Devotees, devotees की कृपा के ऊपर ही भक्ति वहीं से आती है. तो someone may say that bhakti has found its cause in the heart of pure devotees, or bhakti has found its cause with association with pure devotees. So then how can you say that bhakti is self-independent? Or how can you say that bhakti is supremely independent? But then that association with devotees itself is bhakti. So bhakti is the cause of bhakti, self-manifested, self-independent. So when Indra watched all these qualities of bhakti, he was wonderstruck. He deduced that that it is because of the, this worship you had been performing, that I see that your 49 sons are alive, even though they were being chopped off mercilessly by me, but they are alive. So if you remember, Twashta also was performing one sacrifice to produce someone who would kill Indra. So, but there was a little little flaw in mantrucharan. And what happened that the demon which was produced, he was killed by Indra, Vritrasur, apparently. So we see in this Karmakand section, Twashta was not performing tamsik bhakti. He was performing tamsik yagya, not bhakti. So as a result of that, there was a flaw and he had to see just the opposite. On the other hand, in tamsik bhakti, because it is bhakti, Mata Diti, there was a fault. She forgot to perform the Ajman. But when did bhakti start considering the faults, such faults, do's and don'ts? The results were still far more than just mere material successful. That is one difference between karma anushthan or yagya and bhakti. In karma anushthan and gyan, even though there may be a very slight discrepancy, everything is, you know, everything goes into dust. Yes, and same is true with demigodly worship also, demigod worship rather. But if someone is performing hari bhakti, there is no failure, faults, they are not considered at all, right? Only aparadha are considered, but faults they are not considered. This is what is surprising Indra very much, even though she committed a fault, but still she is being blessed with 49 maruts. They are still alive, and look at her disposition now. She's so motherly now. Earlier, she was so envious. She wanted to kill me, but now she's full of this motherly compassion because the devotee's heart is filled with compassion, and that compassion is the real wealth which is not obtained even by gyan or karma. One has got all the gyan, but he may not have any compassion. But bhakti is the only element which ensures this compassion. There is nothing else. Okay. So I think I have whatever I noted down, I have covered. So that is, in short, I'll conclude that yes, that uh, number one, that the primary benefit of bhakti is bhakti itself. Secondary bhakti, primary benefit of bhakti, all kind of bhakti, tamasic bhakti, sattvic, rajasic, का सबका भक्ति ही हो जाता है ultimately, eventually. And secondary results, so there are multifolded secondary results. Then we also understood that how bhakti is life-giving, how bhakti is super excellent, how bhakti is supremely independent, self-manifesting. भक्ति का कोई और cause नहीं है. भक्ति का cause भक्ति और भक्ति का effect भी भक्ति है. It's a completely different domain which is not at all having factors like karma or gyan, right? And lastly, that in other anushthan, karma anushthan or jnana anushthan, these irregularities, they kind of spoil everything. But in bhakti anushthan, in bhakti kriya, irregularities, they don't deter the progress. As long as the aspirant is performing the real real bhakti kriya. So in this chapter, the do's and don'ts have been described by Kashyap Muni, but in the next chapter, the real process of Vishnu Bhakti, that this vrata, uh, the real bhakti kriya which Mata Diti had been carrying out, that will be described in the next chapter. Thank you very much. I think I should stop here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for this nice class. Yeah, if anyone is having any question regarding today's class, they can raise the hand and ask His Grace Srikant Prabhuji. Yes, Nilmada Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I just got one doubt. Like, in so many episodes, everyone wants to kill Indra. Why everyone wants to kill Indra actually?
इंद्र ने कर्म ही ऐसे किए थे.
No, he's representative of the Lord. So, okay, there will
envious
be
people
uh, it's
envious
not
people
like uh,
envious people जो होते हैं
hmm.
वो they don't like devotees. So therefore, if someone joins this bhakti movement, he will face this criticism from many people. Envious people, they are envious of Lord, and hence they are envious of devotees also. That is one thing. But इंद्रा के साथ तो लोगों का जो कंपटीशन है वो तो इट्स अ काइंड ऑफ अ नेचुरल बाय प्रोडक्ट ऑफ दिस मटेरियल एक्सिस्टेंस. We are competing with one another. Even Indra also wants to kill, but Indra is a devotee. He is always protected by the Lord. Indra is a devotee. So, so whosoever wants to kill Indra, or whosoever wants to replace Indra is should be considered that it is either the natural byproduct of this material existence. For example, in the 8th canto, this story of Maharaj Bali will come. Maharaj Bali was also trying to replace Indra, but then Bhagwan came and he saved Indra once again. But then he gave the real taste of bhakti to Bali Maharaj only. So in this way, the two causes could be that this competition, unhealthy competition. In the spiritual world also there is competition, but it's healthy competition. This unhealthy competition is the natural byproduct of material existence, number one. And number two, they are envious of Indra. They are envious of the devotee Indra because they are envious of Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare, Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you.
Even
Yes.
I have one more question. Like, see, we know like bhakti when we perform the mode is important, but from your class we can understand it's uh, finally though may they get fringe benefits after in a meanwhile they will actually become devotee. So
Mm.
I couldn't understand that point. If you can elaborate on that.
If one is performing bhakti kriya very sincerely, if one is performing bhakti kriya, then that bhakti itself is so powerful, then it will straighten his mood eventually. But if he's performing it very sincerely, Hari Bhakti, not demigod worship, that bhakti being very compassionate and watching that endeavor of that aspirant, the bhakti will melt Bhakti's heart. Bhakti Devi, she's a deity. Her heart melts, seeing the endeavor of that aspirant, and she purifies the heart of the aspirant, and the aspirant ka mood, it becomes now a better mood, good mood. What I have been doing, it is evident in the case of not only Mata Diti but also in the case of Maharaj Dhruv Maharaj, right? So they all are having some competition mood, Sakam Bhakt. So our mood should be to only please Guru Maharaj. This mood is not even sattvic. This is real bhakti from the very beginning. If, however, this mood is not there, something else is there, then Bhakti Devi, then she will teach us befitting lessons that, hey, develop this mood. Why are you going here and there? Eventually. So therefore, everyone is invited. The idea is that everyone is invited to perform devotional service. Okay? Where are you?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Anyone else would like to ask any question? Yes, Rajpat Maharaj, please.
Dandot Pranam Maharaji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Shrikant Prabhuji. It's a short and crisp class. Nice. Is that a question? Adding to your answer to our Nikhil Prabhuji about why everybody is enemy of Indra.
Hmm.
It is because because of his position.
Hmm.
His position is very lucrative. So the lesson is don't be a leader. If you are a leader, then you will have a lot of enemies. Because everybody want to be leader here. Everybody want to be follower. So don't be a leader unless you are asked to by Guru Maharaj, by spiritual master. Unless specially protected by Guru and Krishna. Right? Here Indra is constantly protected by the Lord because he is appointed by Krishna. So similarly, one should not first of all aspire to become a leader. One should aspire to become a servant. Then there will be no enemies. So as soon as one tries to be a leader, then there will be enemies. But if that is the desire of the spiritual master, then one should take that difficulty of having to being criticized, having to be uh, revolted, or having to be opposed. So many things one has to undergo, but that will be a service. So the first thing is one should be aspire to be a servant, not a leader. So if when one is a perfect servant, then the spiritual master will make him the leader. If he wants, if he needs. So, but if we develop this leadership desires, then we may have to quote similar situations like Indra. And if it is not the desire of Guru and Krishna that we want to be leader, or we try to be leader beyond our jurisdiction, what they want, then we are in a bigger danger because there is no protection. So, so this whole problems in the society also. See, politics position is very lucrative. The person sees the facilities but don't see the responsibilities comes with it. So the enemies of Indra is because of his position. Everybody does tapasya and immediately their target is Indra's position. Hiranyakashipu, he did tapasya and his first target is Indra. Occupy Indra's seat. So in this way, this is one of the opulences to have power. So one should not possess power without sanction, without unnecessarily one should not possess power. That is detrimental to our lot of impediments will be there. Yeah. Unless one is specifically being asked. So that is little that seva is tricky seva. One may lose his ground if one is not mature and mentally stable, or he is not improper. So Indra's main reason is his position. He commands demigods, many of them. So king of the heaven. You see, heaven is itself is everybody is aspiring for heaven, but imagine king of heaven. So that is the point. But he is always protected by Krishna because he is appointed by Krishna. So that we have to make sure. Best is to remain in the servant mode. To remain in servant. You should be very reluctant to be a leader. That is a sign of a servant. But one is insisted by Guru and Krishna, then one can take with their full protection. Otherwise, we may be others also. They will get a lot of enemies in form of criticism, competitors, and also we may also get carried away because power corrupts. They say no. Power corrupts absolute. Power corrupts absolute. So it is easy, very easy to get corrupted when one is in power, in leadership position. So this is what we should learn from Indra. And of course, Indra, because of his conditioning also, he is also try to take, by all means, try to keep his position. So he doesn't leave the position so easily. So one should be leader with detachment, anytime ready to resign. Anytime ready to resign if asked. So in that way one can survive mentally, physically, in the protection of the Lord. And so the best way is to remain servant. The most safest position is to remain servant. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj ji. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Yes, Shyam Chandra Prabhuji, please.
Hare Krishna,
Hare.
Shrikant Prabhu, Dandat Pranam,
Dandavat
Jai
Pranam
Srila
Prabhuji.
Sripad Maharaj, Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai, Jai, Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful class.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, I would like you to kindly elaborate little bit on this point that you made on bhakti is the cause of bhakti. Because
Yes.
now if you see from Bhagavad Gita, we understand that Krishna says, Chaturvida bhajante mam, Artho, Jigyasur, Artharthi, Jnani. So these are the four classes of people who begin the devotional service unto me, isn't it, for searching the knowledge. So that means they, at the time when they are beginning, they are not in bhakti, but there's a quest for bhakti in these four category of people. So in reference to this and the statement that you made that bhakti is the cause of bhakti, I would request you to kindly, elaborate little bit more on that, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, bhakti is the cause of bhakti, because when these four people, they kick-started bhakti, or I should not use the word kickstart, when they commenced bhakti, that conception, the seed of bhakti, it was conceived in their heart by some pure devotee only. In this life or previous life, it is impossible to even commence even sakam bhakti without this mercy. Otherwise, majority of the people, they worship demigods only. So if someone is performing Hari Bhakti, even for such reasons, then that seed of bhakti, it was sown in their heart by some bhakti kriya only, especially by the mercy of some pure devotee in this life or previous life. That's why they are now, the fire is there, which is kind of compelling them to perform Hari Bhakti, though it may be for material reasons. भक्ति का cause pious activities हो ही नहीं सकता है. Impious activities definitely they are never, cannot be. The pious activities are also never the cause. And this thing here, artha, artharthi, or this coveting wealth and coveting mitigation of suffering, they become instrument only to what to say, to kind of remanifest that bhakti which is already there in their heart. They are just an instrumental cause, not the efficient. Efficient cause is bhakti only. Are you understanding, Prabhuji?
Yes, yes,
For
yes.
example,
Yes,
the fire is there. Fire is there in stone. Fire is there in everywhere. But when you strike a stone with another stone, then the fire gets manifested. So similarly, in the heart of these people, the bhakti is already there. But that bhakti was not sown by such kind of material aspiration. That bhakti seed was sown by bhakti only. If it was not there, then they would definitely do some demigod worship, which majority of the population does.
Okay.
So we
Okay, Prabhu.
find, yeah. So best example is Gajendra, that bhakti.
Yeah.
When he performing that bhakti, the cause is not that crocodile. Cause is his previous bhakti,
Yes.
and that cause is is sown by, the seed was sown by some pure devotee. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful reply, Prabhu. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, anyone else is having any question regarding today's class? Okay.
Our Maharaj Nilamba Maharaj wanted to say something, I guess.
Yeah, Nilamar Maharaji. Hare Krishna Maharaji.
हाँ हरे कृष्ण प्रभु दंडवत प्रणाम.
Danda Pranam Maharaj ji.
मेरा जो क्वेश्चन था तो सब बृहस्पति महाराज ने उत्तर दिए हैं. जो डिवोशन और सबसे बड़े तो तभी और लीडर बन सकता है. जैसे चैतन्य महाप्रभु ने शिक्षा दिए अपना गुंडीचा मार्दन के समय सारे पार्षद को बताए कि गुंडीचा मार्दन में जो जितना डस्ट जितना मैला संग्रह करे सब अलग अलग करके रखो. सब अलग अलग करके रखे. लास्ट को देखे सबका डस्ट मिलाए तब भी महाप्रभु का डस्ट जो जितने महाप्रभु संग्रह किए थे पूरा डस्ट ये सब ज्यादा हो गया. लीडर बने. लीडर मतलब सहस्त्र भुजा होना होगा. गोपियां लोग बोले हम लोग कृष्ण का गुण कीर्तन करने के लिए लाखों जीवा होना चाहिए. उनका दर्शन करने के लिए लाखों आंख होना चाहिए. ब्रह्मा को निंदा किए. ब्रह्मा 2 आंख दिया और इसमें पलक दिया. तो मतलब ज्यादा लाखों गुना ऐसा तभी लीडर बन सकता है. डिवोशन लाइन का लीडर जो है इसके ऊपर निर्भर नहीं कर रहा है. सभी का काम, कोई दूसरा यदि उनका अनुगत लोग कोई सेवा नहीं कर रहा तो खुद करना होगा, तभी वो लीडर बन सकता है। लीडर का ये सब क्वालिटी तो हमारा बृहस्पति महाराज ने व्याख्या की है, तो तभी हम लोग को ऐसा करना होगा। करने से गुरु महाराज संतुष्ट होंगे और हमारा मिशन आगे वृद्धि होगा। हरे कृष्ण।
थैंक यू महाराज जी।
हरे कृष्णा महाराज जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। Yeah, Shrikant Prabhuji, I have two
You have,
questions.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So
You have bhakti.
two questions I have.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So in both these examples, like Dhruva Maharaj ji and Diti, they have to follow these bhakti with these austerities. So, and there is some minimum duration for these austerities. Right in the first moment when they started, they didn't get the pure result what they are supposed to get by performing. So, what is the factor that is deciding this minimum duration of performing austerities or do's and don'ts?
What is the factor? Means this duration.
Yeah. Or on
Again,
what? Yeah.
yeah, there also Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur ji saying is supremely independent nature of bhakti. When the fruit will bear, it is completely in the hands of bhakti. She knows when to bring in the fruit. So I essentially don't know what is the thing, but it takes time. It takes time for the mood to be straightened, and it takes time from an offensive mood to an offenseless mood. So till that time, the bhakti is performing this anarth nivritti. Anarth nivritti takes time. So as long as anarth nivritti is not gone, so bhakti will not. Bhakti is there; it is already manifested, but it will not be. Its sweetness will not be tasted by the bhakt. So what is that thing which is deciding the time? Anarth nivritti.
Yeah, so till that time we need to go through this process, right, of performing these austerities and
The austerities, they do not clean the offenses. Bhakti cleans the anartha.
okay.
Austerity is there so that one is fixed in this
Mhm.
devotional process. वैधि भक्ति.
Okay.
Austerities में इतना दम नहीं है कि हमारे डीप रूटेड अनर्थों को हटा सके. Only bhakti can do that.
So austerities with bhakti.
Bhakti with austerities or with no austerities.
Okay.
But austerities actually श्रीला प्रभुपाद जी 4 austerities ही करके गए हैं, क्योंकि इस कलयुग में वो 4 austerities भी they are like big tapa. You know, this no illicit sex, no gambling, and these are like big tapa for people of Kali-yuga. So अगर too much austerities करेंगे तो भक्ति का purpose defeat होगा. Our heart will become hard, and that will defeat the purpose. Yeah, but some minimal austerities are also required. Otherwise, we'll keep committing offenses against devotees. And if austerities are not there, austerities are they are like to check our offenses. Otherwise, we'll keep committing offenses against devotees.
So thank you, Prabhuji. And one more question. So
suppose this just to understand this with an example. Suppose if this no drinking was not there, okay, no drinking, then devotees, neophyte devotees, They may be performing their devotional activities but drinking, and Guru Maharaj is calling,
Hmm.
suppose,
Hmm.
and he's lying in inebriated situation, in drunken alcoholic, in a drunken state. So often so gaya na. So these austerities are there because the minimal austerities are there so that they keep us always vigilant towards what Guru Maharaji wants, what Vaishnavas want. Okay,
Yes, yes,
to, to,
yeah.
to keep a check on our otherwise restless senses. Hare Krishna.
That's probably. And yeah, one more question is no, by our original constitutional position, everybody is having this bhakti element, and that's what we also hear.
Mm.
But in our discussions, like you are saying, bhakti ignites the bhakti. So how we can understand both the
Everyone is
statements?
capable.
Hmm.
Everyone, no one is barren. For example, just to understand this with an example, please don't, no one should take it offensively. For example, some women, uh, they don't have that, potency to be conceived. But a woman, if she has got that potency that she can conceive, still she has to depend on a male to be impregnated with a seed, right?
Hmm.
Similarly, all the souls, no one is barren, but that seed will be sown by a devotee,
Hmm.
pure devotee. And like how a woman, she depends not only for the seed, but she also depends for the nourishment and care of that baby on her husband. Similarly, we also have to depend not only for the conception of bhakti, but also for the nourishment of bhakti. We have to depend on Vaishnavas, their mercy, their seva. This is the idea.
Wonderful. Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. And our Govind Maharaji
Oh,
is having
Maharaji
something.
is there. I'm so delighted. I thought Maharaji was not there. Hare Krishna Maharaji. Dandavat
Hare
Pranam
Krishna.
Maharaji.
Our Sanatan Goswami is asking very wonderful questions and perfect questions, perfect answers. That was very relishing to hear. Just a second, let this tractor pass because I am on. Just 1 second. Yeah, you described that the bhakti takes away the anarthas. Austerities, however performed, does not uproot uh, the anarthas, but the bhakti definitely uproots. So, what aspect of bhakti uproots the anarthas completely? Because bhakti in essence and bhakti in particular, what aspect of bhakti? Because apparently many things appears to be bhakti, but what aspect? What is that essence of bhakti, which has the potency to uproot the anarthas from the very root? Because it's described that bhakti ultimately is to please the Lord. We don't perform bhakti to free ourselves from anarthas. There is something. Something means we don't use sublime bhakti to free ourselves of anarthas. There is something which is taken, which takes care of it, so that we can devote to bhakti only for the pleasure of the Lord.
That aspect Maharaji is Kripa. Bhakti Devi being very Kripalu, she will do this for the benefit of the aspirant. And it is because of Kripa only that Bhakti Devi gives the secondary results, that this aspirant has been endeavoring so much for this result, let me give this also. But let me do my real job also. Bhakti Devi is like a very Kripalu mother. who knows when to give the candy and how to, or when not to give candy. The essence why mother is doing this to her child is because she's very uh, compassionate, compassion. तो भक्ति देवी की ये जो छह जो तत्व मैंने शेयर किए थे, जिनको देख के इंदिरा वाज आल्सो वंडर स्ट्रक. That compassion being the life-giving aspect. So it is because of compassion, Maharaji. That is what I understand. Hare Krishna.
Maybe Maharaj is asking via medium. If
Sorry.
from your answer, I mean, so Bhakti Devi is okay. So through which medium?
Is this
If I
one through
rightly
Why
understand.
honestly?
I'm using because what takes care of or uproots all the anarthas is also a part of bhakti. But bhakti directly, as we know, for the direct pleasure of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
Bhakti is exclusively meant not to Krishna, please free me from anarthas. That is taken care of by something very specific thing.
Yeah,
I'm referring to
Guru Maharaj.
that sixth canto, chapter 1, and slok number 16 and 17. That's where it is very beautifully mentioned. Prabhupada writes that we don't do
Who lost whom?
Correction.
Did I lost or did you
No,
all lose me again?
we lost Maharaj.
Okay. क्योंकि मेरा भी नेटवर्क कभी कभी जो है अनप्रेडिक्टेबल होता है यहाँ पे तो. Anyways, what I could understand from His Holiness question is
perform
that Maharaj is speaking.
bhakti for freeing our Krishna, and that yeah. 17. Can you refer to that Uyeta Tapadihi Yatha? So Guru Maharaj mentioned that is 50.
17 shloka Maharaj ji?
Yeah, 6:1:17.
The path
Na
followed by
tathahi, na tathahi. You don't have Sanskrit because sometimes one
Udrichi
number
no 6117 is I think it is
or 18.
616. ना तथा ही अगवान राजन
Bhagavan Rajan
पुयेत
Uyeta
तपा
Tapadi
देभी यथा
Yatha
कृष्णार्पिता प्राणस
Krishna Pita Pranas
तत्पुरुषनिश.
Tat Purusha Nishevaya.
I'll read out a translation.
Okay.
My dear king, if a sinful person engages in the service of a bona fide devotee of the Lord and thus learns how to dedicate his life unto the lotus feet of Krishna, he can be completely purified. One cannot be purified merely by undergoing austerity, penance, brahmacharya, and the other methods of atonement I have previously described.
Yeah,
Oh, you have opened. Okay.
in the purport, and also in the purport of 16, just one sloka before that, one sloka before that about Vasudev. Vasudeva Parayana Agham Dhunvanti Kasnena Niharam Eva Bhaskara. So completely uprooting the anarthas if one take exclusive to devotion service. But how that will be possible? Only by taking shelter of
Okay.
a pure devotee, one who is fully dedicated to Krishna. That's the
Yes.
that's 17.
Yes.
Because our primary focus is to please Krishna, to dedicate, and anarthas, our dedication to Sri Guru takes care of that completely, uproots. Because other processes won't free us completely from anarthas, but dedication to Sri Guru will definitely uproot, and then we can use pure devotion service for the pleasure of Guru Gauranga, Krishna.
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you. Wonderful topics you brought for discussion. That's wonderful.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, yeah, Srikant Prabhuji. Maybe we
Conclude
can
now.
conclude. Yeah.
Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Jai Jai Jai.
जय जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय
Jai.
भगवत
Jai
पावन
Jai Jai.
श्रीपाद महाराज की जय
Jai
Jai.
Jai Jai.
जय।
His Grace Srikant Prabhu ki Jai. Thank you all for
Jai Jai
joining.
Jai.
See you all in tomorrow's class. Hare Krishna.
Jai.